He's the happy conservative warrior, Mike Gallagher, from your trusted conservative TV network, Salem News Channel, and broadcasting across hundreds of radio stations nationwide. Here's Mike.
Welcome in on this Wednesday. Boy, do we have a lot to cover. It's one of those days where you just have to kind of sort through all the breaking news. The Biden auto pen scandal continues to grow as we get additional information about who is actually signing all of the pardons and some of the very important documents within the Biden White House. President Trump reportedly is asking for a full internal investigation that could potentially involve millions of files. We're going to jump into that a little later this hour. Also, the White House rolled out an interactive map yesterday that you can get, and we're going to tell you how a little later in today's show, that will show you exactly how much you could potentially save under President Trump's one big beautiful bill. It breaks down for you state by state the potential tax savings. So we're going to talk about that as well today. And in a surprising move, House Speaker Mike Johnson is asking for the Department of Justice to turn over all files pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein, saying that full disclosure is the best practice here. It's a bit of a move against the president, as President Trump was quoted yesterday as saying that, what's the big deal? Why are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This story is not going away, so we'll jump into that too. And of course, your phone calls and your text messages are welcome. 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453 is how you join the conversation today on the Mike Gallagher Show. You can text me. You can email me directly too, joey@joeyhudson.com. I love to get your feedback as we dive into today's breaking news. Last night, in a 51-50 vote with Vice President J.D. Vance placing the tiebreaker, the Senate advanced President Trump's $9 billion spending cut bill. There's 10 hours of debate yet to go. Senators will return today to finish the debate on this, and the Democrats are expected to take up the entire 10 hours. They'll offer various amendments and things that they know will never pass, but just a way to further delay the passage of this. There were some Republicans, of course, who did not support the bill. 3 Republicans, to be exact: Senator Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, 2 that were expected not to support it. And Mitch McConnell continues his rail against the president. It's like Mitch McConnell is never going to do anything that he believes Donald Trump wants him to do. Just defiance in his final days in the U.S. Senate. Mitch McConnell cannot leave the U.S. Senate fast enough. He is not accomplishing anything now. He's just an obstructionist, and it's time for him to go, and thank goodness he's made that decision not to run for re-election. It's a big win, the passage of this bill for President Trump. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, after weeks of negotiation and some infighting. There's been a lot of discussion about this. It's just been making the headlines in the last few days as the Senate got close to this Friday's deadline of passage. But there's been a lot of talk about this behind the scenes. This is an important part of President Trump's agenda. It will cut $9 billion in federal spending. It's one of the biggest rescission packages ever approved by the United States Congress. It would codify several cuts identified by the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, some of those programs that were just waste and abuse that Elon Musk and his team at DOGE uncovered early on. Now we could make them permanent with the passage of this bill. Historically, these bills have managed to pass the House but have not been able to gain support in the U.S. Senate. This is the reverse here. The House has passed it. The Senate appears to be ready to pass it, There could be one slight problem, though. The House sent it over with the idea of no more changes. We're done with this. But it appears that the Senate has made a few minor changes. The House would argue that they're not just minor changes. For example, spending cuts largely rescind funding for the U.S. Agency for International Development, that agency that became very well known overnight, USAID. They're cutting around $7.9 billion from that agency. That's $400 million less than the cuts approved by the House. Not quite sure exactly which programs the Senate did not include. I'm sure that'll come up today. We do know that the Senate removed cuts to the U.S. President's emergency plan for AIDS relief. It's known as PEPFAR. It was initiated by President George W. Bush with the intention of ending the international HIV/AIDS pandemic by 2030. It's been I guess you could say, a flashpoint in Republicans' fight to pass the cuts. Senator Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski expressed big concerns about this portion of the request, and it appears that Senate leadership has agreed to leave that in the bill, not to cut that. Another controversy in the bill, of course, is the $1.1 billion cut from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which oversees the National Public Radio and the Public Broadcasting Service, PBS, and NPR. Collins, Murkowski, and Senator Mike Rounds expressed concern about how these cuts could affect local and tribal programming in the Midwest particularly. So a lot to cover today. And, of course, Joe Biden, the auto pen scandal continues to escalate as we learn more about this, and we're going to dive into that as well. 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453 is how you join the conversation on this Wednesday edition of the Mike Gallagher Show. Continuing the Mike Gallagher Show, Joey Hudson in for Mike today. You can join us on the Salem News Channel and, of course, on the Salem Radio Network. 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453 is how you can join the conversation today. Your calls are welcome. Tracy will put you in queue. We'll talk as time permits. You can also text me on the MyPillow text line. And speaking of MyPillow, Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the very best sleep of your life. He has the best pillow you'll ever own. The Giza Dream Sheets, the Percale sheets as well, everything. And you can save by using promo code MikeG when you go to mypillow.com. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike Lindell has done it again with the My Slippers. The original My Slippers price was $149.98. You can now get them when you use promo code MikeG for just $39.98. Now, you're going to love these slippers because they're not just made to wear in the house. You can wear them anywhere. They come in a variety of sizes and colors. You can get the leather protectant spray for just $5 on your order when you go to mypillow.com. You can call as well, 800-928-6034. You know, I got a buddy who listens to me in upstate South Carolina. His name is Dennis. He's in northeast Georgia. And Dennis tells me, and he actually sent me photos of wearing his MyPillow, My Slippers, deer hunting. He sent me photos sitting in his deer stand in northeast Georgia with his My Slippers on. That's how durable they are and how comfortable they are. You don't want to not ever wear them. So they're made with the MyPillow foam. They have the impact gel to help prevent fatigue. They're made with quality leather suede. So go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code MikeG to save the very most money on every product, whether it's the My Slippers, the sheets, and, of course, the My Pillows. Promo code MikeG. Let's go to the phones where Dwayna is patiently waiting in Arkansas. Welcome. You're on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Hi, Joey. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I heard a very informed man on YouTube, but it was like about a 45-minute show, but he was going over the fact that President Trump said early on, we are not going to be a part of the WHO. We're withdrawing from that. But that process takes a year.
Yeah.
And the problem is the amendments that you have to object to those by July the 19th, which is fast. And the guy was saying, I just wish. He went over many things in detail and was very informed, but he said, I don't have the president's number. And I'm just hoping that somebody that sees this program that knows it would take 5 minutes for somebody in the State Department, I think it's supposed to be State Department, to write a letter and say the United States will not be participating in the amendments because they are horrible. I don't know how much you've read or know, but y'all can look up that thing on YouTube if you want to. It's very well done.
And I appreciate the information. I don't know about this particular deadline. I do know it's a very complex thing, and I also know that it's a priority for the Trump administration to get us out of the WHO. So we'll see, Dwan. I really have confidence that they're probably they're on top of this, but I guess it doesn't hurt to give them a reminder, huh? One line open, 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453. Stephen is in Philadelphia. Welcome. You're on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Joey, how are you?
Wonderful. Hope you are.
Very good. I'll tell you what. I mean, there are so many problems in the country. Just one example. Here we are, less than a quarter century after 9/11, and there's a possibility that an Islamist could be elected mayor of New York City. Now that just seems that's beyond your wildest imagination. So
it is. Hey, Stephen, let me interrupt you for just a moment on that, because there is a story about that from Washington. AOC evidently is hosting a breakfast on Capitol Hill for this young man from New York. Now, we've kind of been monitoring this, and as of just before the show started, no one had really shown up. She was expecting this big crowd in D.C. and a number of, and it was primarily for Democrat members of the U.S. House and the Senate. And so far, no one has taken her up on the invitation. So I'll go back to you. Well,
they're of course cowards, but I mean, if they were allowed to meet without cameras on, they would all be there. And look, I really think that he's going to win. But that sort of explains the problem. The problems that we have, I think, are beyond our ability to settle political. I hate to use the example of Rome, but Rome, of course, got corrupted and they expanded too much. They got too wealthy. How could the Senate involve equally share in all of the plunder of Rome? And that's sort of where we are. And I really think that at some point, it might not be Trump, but I would certainly be willing, if it was Trump, we're going to need somebody to step in because we don't have most of the people, or not most of the people. I mean, we have a fair amount of people in this country that simply don't like the country, don't have its interest at heart, and we're inviting, in the last 25 years, again, we've been inviting more and more people who have either no intention of becoming American or really don't want to become American.
Well, and I think
want to be within its borders.
All good points, Stephen. Good points. Appreciate your phone call. 800-655-6453. One line open. And Stephen makes some good points there. There are people, unfortunately, some elected officials, like I would argue AOC, who does not like America. They hate our country. And the only thing they hate worse than our country is Donald Trump. They despise this man. And Stephen is right. It's time for us to step up, to be bold, and to protect our country. To let these people know you are no longer welcome here. And President Trump's doing that. He's deporting a lot of people who've come into our country illegally. We have to show our support. But we also have to let these members of the Democrat Congress understand we're not going to tolerate this anymore. I'm Joey Hudson, in for Mike Gallagher today.
The Mike Gallagher Show on Salem News Channel and the Salem Radio Network.
The One Big Beautiful Bill is going to create growth on turbocharge, cutting regulations, cutting red tapes so that companies can invest, build, hire when and where they want instead of spending years begging permission from Washington. Going to turbocharge growth. Opening foreign markets to U.S. exports by getting concessions through trade renegotiation. Going to turbocharge growth. Low energy prices, like the president is achieving, lowest gas prices since 2021 at the pump. Going to turbocharge growth. And all that's to come.
In the ReliefFactor.com studios, here's Mike.
Today, Mike will be back again tomorrow. And by the way, just a quick reminder that you can not only listen to the Mike Gallagher Show on your favorite radio station, but you can also watch us on the Salem News Channel on all the major streaming platforms. So either way, hope you'll join the conversation today. 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453 is how you can join the conversation. You can text me, which many of you have already. Texter says, "Hey, Joey, thanks for filling in for the Happy Conservative Warrior. Always fun to fill in for Mike. I appreciate that." Texter says, "Good morning, Joey. I love how the Democrat media are giving attention to Epstein." Texter says, "Government is not the solution, but rather the problem. There's very little that government can do for the American people that we cannot do ourselves." Of course, that's a quote from Ronald Reagan. Your messages are welcome on the MyPillow text line as well. 800-655-6453. Portions of today's show made possible by Americans for a Balanced Budget. Congress secured a historic victory for President Trump and the American people by passing the One Big Beautiful Bill. But that win could be at risk now. A massive health care tax looms if Congress fails to act. Americans for a Balanced Budget is sounding the alarm. Key health care tax credits are set to expire at the end of this year. It happens, or if this happens, 24 million Americans could face skyrocketing health care costs. Millions may lose their coverage entirely. Congress must act now to protect these vital tax credits for Americans who buy their own health insurance. President Trump's pollster found that 77% of voters, including over 70% of Trump supporters, are more likely to vote for candidates who preserve these credits. Americans for a Balanced Budget are calling for Congress to protect the full promise of the One Big Beautiful Bill by preventing a devastating health care tax hike. Your voice counts. Visit StopHealthCareCostHikes.com. StopHealthCostHikes.com. Tell Congress, protect credits, stop rising costs, and act before it's too late. Stop higher health care costs can be, they have all the information for you on the website. Again, that's StopHealthCostHike.com. Do that today. A rare moment yesterday for me as I found myself agreeing about something with Whoopi Goldberg. I never agree with Miss Goldberg. Yesterday, I did, and it almost feels wrong to admit that. She didn't hold back yesterday on The View, and frankly, somebody needed to say on the left what she said. In a moment that kind of cut through all the noise and the nonsense, Ms. Goldberg called the disturbing trend of politicizing the tragedy in Texas as a result of the flooding, this natural disaster that's already claimed the lives of, I think the last number was 135. Sadly, these parents sent these young girls to this Christian camp in particular, never to have their daughters returned. It's just a tragedy. But yet there's some on the left who are, like they always do, they want to blame Donald Trump. And they're pointing the finger, saying, well, if he hadn't cut funding for FEMA and all these different things, it was a natural disaster. A natural disaster. Donald Trump had nothing to do with that. I mean, a little bit of common sense would tell you that, right? Well, Whoopi Goldberg evidently just has had enough. She aimed at this online crowd who keeps writing these social media posts targeting the Republicans. I mean, this lady, this doctor in the Houston area who was fired because she suggested that they got what they voted for, meaning that this area of Texas where the floods have hit the hardest are red counties. They supported Donald Trump. Goldberg yesterday in this exchange had a message to anyone with an ounce of decency that this kind of talk is just not appropriate anymore. Here's Whoopi Goldberg.
Agencies are finding that they're not getting the money because people are blaming the people who died in the floods. And they're saying, well, why should I give you, you voted for this. Let me tell you, let's be really clear.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's unbelievable, but it's happening. And so I just want to be really clear. You know, you can't blame anybody for these floods. It's nobody's fault. I didn't do it. You didn't do it. It has nothing to do with Washington. This was what happened. This was a natural disaster. Yeah. And if you are writing on people's socials where you should be giving, if you're saying these kinds of things, damn you. Damn you. People are trying to get their lives together. These floods are no joke. This is not light humor. This is not how we do in America. We show up for whoever is in trouble. We don't say, who did you vote for? We don't say, who did you vote with? We show up. We show up for children. We show up for older folks. We show up for middle-aged folks. And we show up for the young. Because that's what we do as Americans when we find that horrible things are happening in the world. Stop sending those messages.
She's right, isn't she? As much as it pains me to admit that I agree with Whoopi Goldberg on something, thank goodness that she's speaking out. Thank goodness that she is telling those on the left to stop it. It doesn't matter who you voted for. This horrific flooding that caused such a loss of life, that wiped out communities in Texas, it doesn't have a party. It's not a Republican thing. It's not a Democrat thing. It's not an independent thing. It was a natural disaster that Trump, certainly Kamala Harris, had she been successful in November, no one could have prevented this. And for some of these people to be suggesting that, well, you got what you voted for? Look, I hate for anyone to lose their job. But this doctor in the Houston area who was fired because of those types of comments, she deserved it. She deserved losing her job. I understand that she has since apologized. I think it's probably a little too late. But Whoopi Goldberg is right for both sides. You know, in a situation like this where these families are hurting, they lost their loved one, there's no place for partisan politics. So, again, I feel awkward by saying, well, Whoopi and I agree on this, but we do. She was dead on it. And I think it's great that they heard it from her. That Whoopi Goldberg, in essence, is defending President Donald Trump because a lot of the criticism from the left has been targeted towards him. That he's been cutting some of these federal agencies and they haven't been able to respond. To my knowledge, FEMA and some of the response agencies haven't complained, or they haven't said that, well, our funding cuts have preventing us from providing the services that the people of Texas need. I haven't heard that yet. 800-655-6453, 800-655-MIKE. Your comments are welcome on the Mike Bello text line. I always use promo code MikeG when you go to when you make your comments. Back to the phones. Let's start with Tommy. Tommy, you're on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Hey, Joey. Yeah.
How are you, sir?
Talk about how you doing, Joe?
I'm wonderful. Hope you are.
Thank you. This Epstein thing, it's very confusing and interesting to me. It's like the Republicans are demanding that this, that are close to Trump, they want this report to come out. And I would too. And the Democrats are laying low. They almost don't care. It's all the Republicans want this. They're demanding Donald Trump and, the AG bring this out. And I'm confused. Donald Trump said, well, there's nothing to see here. I have a conspiracy theory, Joey. I don't know if you want to hear it really quick.
Let's cut to the chase. I mean, Tommy, what do you think that all the information is correct? Do you believe that there was not a list, as the DOJ is suggesting now?
I think there was a list,
yep.
And he got killed, and I don't believe he killed himself the way it happened. I don't
yep.
believe he committed suicide. I think there was an hour, in that prison, where somebody it would have had to have taken a lot of people and pay a lot of money and then keep them quiet. But I just think it's strange that all of a sudden now,
all right, and one more thing. Does this change your support of President Trump?
No, not at all. It increases my support for him.
Okay.
I love Donald Trump. Yeah, it increases my support. I think this whole thing had to do with, well, I won't say it, but probably where I'm going. A president we had back 30 years
yep.
ago.
Sure.
I'm not going to say, he was reported to visit his island 5 or 6 times. So I'm not going to mention the name. Yep. People that are smart.
Well, I think the point is, Tommy, that there has to be more to this story, and the American people aren't buying anymore. The American people are wanting the answers, and that's what we were promised. Unfortunately, CNN just released results of a poll that show that there are Republicans who say they supported Donald Trump, who now say that this is making them pause for a moment and maybe rethink their support of the president, because they thought that he was going to make sure all of this information was released. And it is kind of hard to believe that there really wasn't a list after all these years of talking about his client list, and now suddenly there's no such thing. We'll see. 800-655-6453. Let's go to Gabriel in Philadelphia. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I would like to get to the point. I have something very solid I want to say, and it's been bothering me. When Musk comes out and targets Trump saying you're on the files, I believe he should look at himself, because, maybe Trump and other people have been, let's just say, to the island. Musk brought the island to himself. Okay, we could just go through the files. You could see that he's been with who's that guy again? There was a lawsuit from
all right, so
the movie.
So quickly, Gabriel, do you think there's a list, and should it be released?
I believe that it's a waste of time, because if we come out to the public and tell the public, many people have been there, and let's look further. Let's say he is on the list. Now what? Now what? What's the point? What do we do from here? Because Musk has brought people to his own house. He doesn't have to go to the island, So, they're just it's just how do I say this? Trying to waste time to try to get back on Trump for getting rid of him.
All right. Okay. All right, Gabriel. Appreciate your phone call. 800-655-MIKE. 800-655-6453. Joey Hudson in for Mike today.
Mike Gallagher.
Joey Hudson in for Mike Gallagher on both the Salem Radio Network and the Salem News Channel. Glad to have you join us. 800-655-MIKE. 800-655-6453 is how you join the conversation. Yesterday was another long, painful day for relief workers in the Texas Hill Country as we continue to watch this effort to try to start rebuilding those areas. They face new threats of heavy flooding while they're continuing their efforts for searching for the victims after the 4th of July flooding that left dozens dead, even more missing. It's tough work. It's physically tough. It's emotionally tough for these first responders. But the work has to go on, and that's what that's the message from these rescue workers. Listeners like you can help our fellow Americans right now, today. I've been telling you, and Mike's been telling you about how we partnered with our friends at the nonprofit relief agency Food for the Poor to rush these emergency relief kits to the flood-ravaged areas of Texas where 135 people are confirmed dead. There's still some missing. There's a Help Texas banner when you go to MikeOnline.com. You can't miss it. You can make a donation to help rush these emergency relief kits to Texas containing hygiene items, tarps, women's care kits, liquid IV, diapers, and children's activity materials and other things, essentials that are needed to help ease the crisis that are facing these people. Food for the Poor, in coordination with a trusted partner in San Antonio, is responding to the Central Texas flooding by delivering shipments of emergency relief supplies to support our fellow American families in one of the most vulnerable communities in that area. It's devastating. And we can watch the images, we can see what has happened and feel helpless because we can't be there to help, but this is the way that we can help through Food for the Poor. You can phone in your gift by calling 844-860-4673, 844-860-4673. You can also text the keyword flood to our text line, 800-655-6453. Just text the keyword flood, and I'll send you a quick link on that. The need is urgent. We need for you to do this today so that we can rush these kits to the areas most heavily affected, and only you can make emergency relief happen through our partnership with Food for the Poor and help our fellow Americans in Texas. Again, I felt kind of awkward as I agreed with Whoopi Goldberg yesterday as she was chastising those on the left who have been critical of President Trump, the Trump administration, FEMA, almost as if they're blaming him for these devastating floods. We know that's not the case, but this is the way that we can help. This is the way that we can help. So go to Mike Online, click on the banner at the top of the page, and give generously today, and I thank you in advance. The Biden auto pen scandal continues to grow as more and more information is released. President Trump yesterday instructed the White House staff to dig deeper, to review over 1 million files. That and much more coming up on the Mike Gallagher Show.